Good morning, students. I welcome you all in the first lesson of uh, English class 10th. This video lesson is going to be important for class 10th students. The topic figure of speech has been taken from the literature section. Dear students, the figure of speech is a very important topic of literature. It has got its importance for many reasons. The first important reason that I find, the use of figure of speech, it makes your communication and your writing stronger. A clear understanding of figure of speech will definitely make your foundation of English stronger. Another reason for becoming it important is that one question is asked in the board examination where a student is expected to identify certain figure of speech in a given question, where you are given a line from a stanza, or it can be an extract from a drama, or it can be any other piece of literature, where you are expected to identify certain figure of speech, the figure of speech that we are going to deal in the coming slide. So this is going to be important. As I said earlier, that a clear understanding of figure of speech is going to make your writing stronger. So if you are using it, is going to give you benefit in the writing section. Definitely it is going to give you benefit in your communication skills as well. So let us begin without further. So what are literary devices? A figure of speech is a device that achieves a spatial effect by using words in a distinctive way. So I want you to focus on these highlighted words. So it is a device, it is a method, it is a technique that helps a piece of literature to gain spatial effect by the use of words in a distinctive way. The words are used in distinctive way so that it gets a spatial effect. It makes a piece of literature more attractive and persuasive. More attractive and persuasive. I want you to look at this picture, as we know that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So here what is the chef doing? The chef is garnishing the food. So the method of garnishing food will determine that how attractive the food is. That is why you would have seen that the chefs, they also focus on the garnishing or in decorating the food, because the decoration also makes the food important. So the same work is done by literary devices in our literature. So what is the purpose of literary devices? Why do we use them? What is the need? As I said earlier, the need of literary devices is that to beautify language. It will make your language beautiful, it will add colors to your language, it definitely will strike your imagination and creativity. I want you to focus a little on here, that how come it will strike our imagination and creativity. We know that the poets, the authors, they live in a different world. With the help of their imagination and creativity, they bring beautiful pieces of poems, dramas, fictions, stories, many other compositions. So what if they are using the poetic devices or literary devices effectively? What will happen, that it will strike our imagination. We will be forced to imagine, we will be forced to do creativity at our own level. So this is the purpose of literary device. The literary devices, they help in beautifying the language, in adding the colors, in striking our imagination, so that we can enjoy the piece of literature, we can enjoy the different poems. So what all we are going to discuss today is, students, there are many literary devices, many figure of speeches there are in English language, but I have compiled here only the figure of speech, the poetic devices, or say the literary devices, which are very important, keeping in view your syllabus. So we are going to cover some of them. We are not going to cover all literary devices. So let us begin. The first one becomes simile. I have seen that students They pronounce it as smile because it somewhat looks like a smile. It's not a smile, it's simile. So what a simile is? Simile, it is an expression comparing one thing to another using the words like or as dash as. So it is a comparison. So sometimes poet compare one thing with the another thing. So this method of comparison is known as simile. So how do the how is comparison done? So comparison is done with the help of like or as dash as. So the identification of simile is that when you find the word like or as dash as, so there definitely the poet has used or the author has used simile. Look at the examples. He ran like a cat, lightly and quietly. So, how the poet has compared here the speed, the running. The poet has compared the running of this person with the cat's lightly and quietly, as quickly as an afternoon rain shower. So, as quickly as. So, this is the identification that you will find as quickly as smoother, creeping like snail. How? Like a snail. As good as gold. So here the poet has compared one thing with the other with the help of the word like or as dash. So this poetic device is called simile. Fine. So if you are to find a simile in your examination, if you have to identify, you have to focus on the word like. If you find the like or as something as, so you have to strike the answer as simile there. So let us move forward. The next one is metaphor. Metaphor is also again a comparison. See, this is the another way of comparison of two things without using word like or as. See, previous one simile was also a comparison where the poet was comparing there was a comparison between two things with the help of like and as. Similarly, here is also comparison but without using. There is no use. In another word, you can say that metaphor is also a kind of comparison where two unlike things are compared without using like or as, or you can say this is a direct comparison. It is direct comparison. Fine. So how a direct comparison? He was a statue. If you say that he was a statue, we have compared this person with a statue, but we did not compare this person with a statue with the help of word like or as. We directly called this person a statue. This man is the Sachin of my class. We compared definitely this man with Sachin Tendulkar. His art of playing has been compared with the art of playing of Sachin Tendulkar, but this time the way of comparison is direct. We are directly calling this man the Sachin of the class. So this is also a comparison. You compare two things, but make sure that the comparison is not done with the help of like or as. It is done directly. So this is called metaphor. Simile versus metaphor. So what is the difference between simile or metaphor? Both are involved in comparison. You'll find that both the devices, they are used to compare, but one takes like or as dash as, and the other doesn't take. Other is directly associated. He played like Sachin in the match, simply because of the word like, and he was the Sachin in the match today is a metaphor because we have here directly called this man Sachin, and here we have compared his art of playing with the art of Sachin Tendulkar's playing in the match. So this is these two methods. One is known as simile, the other is known as metaphor. Let us go forward. Hyperbole. I have heard his students pronouncing this word as hyperbole. Please make sure that this is not hyperbole. This is hyperbole. Uh, what does a what does it mean by hyperbole? Hyperbole is an obvious exaggeration or overstatement. Overstatement or exaggeration. Exaggeration means when you speak something more than its capacity, more than the reality. So this method is known, this device is known as poetic, the hyperbole, where you exaggerate, you speak about something more than its capacity, more than the reality. So here are two examples. I'm so thirsty. I took this example in the previous slide as well. I'm so hungry that I could eat a horse. Is it possible? No, it's exactly not possible. You cannot eat entire horse. Even you cannot eat a horse. You do not eat, I mean. But you're so hungry. This way of expressing your hunger, that you are ready to eat a horse, it shows that how hungry you are. And this way the piece of literature, as I said earlier, it has become more beautiful, it attracts, it creates, it helps in our imagination, that we start imagine how thirsty, how hungry that man would be, that he's ready to eat, he can eat the entire horse, which is not possible. Let's take the second example. I saw 1,000 of flowers at a glance, taken from daffodil. 1,000 of flowers, it is not possible. Exactly, the at a glance you cannot see exactly 1,000 flowers. It has been exaggerated, that there were, it shows that there were, the number of flower was very high, it was very, it was a lot, that obviously you cannot count at a one go. But the way the poet says that 1,000 of flowers, it shows that the quantity of flower was very high. He saw a lot of flowers together, so that is why he said 1,000 of flowers. Here you say on the top of the world, we say on the top of the world, it doesn't mean that we are standing on the top of the world, so it is an exaggeration. So the exaggeration or overstatement, it is called hyperbole. In Hindi also you find this hyperbole, which is known as atishayokti. So what does mean by atishayokti? Where you speak something, where this word will help you in understanding atishayokti. Mean to say overstatement. Something is more, something you have spoken which is really not possible, but it indicates somewhat towards that category. Like you cannot eat the entire horse even if you are ready to, even if it is given, if it is offered to you, you cannot eat entire. But this shows that this man was a lot hungry, he wanted a lot of food, so this is called hyperbole. Next one, this one is my favorite, personification. Personification is, I want you to focus on the word person. Person mean to say a man, a human being. So personification means when human qualities are given to animals or objects. I want you to recall the newspaper moving in the movie Harry Potter. You will find that newspapers, they speak, they move. So this way we can say that the writer has used their personification. Personification is when we animate either objects or animals. We expect, the poet shows that, the writer shows that the animals speaking like human beings. Here you see the car looks very tired, which exactly cannot be possible. Here you see the leaves dancing, which cannot be possible. But the way the poet has used the leaves dancing shows their elation, shows their happiness. This way of presenting, the car was suffering and was in the need of some TLC. So it was not suffering. Exactly, a car, in reality, a car cannot suffer. It can be repaired, but it cannot behave like human beings. There's a word hidden. Let me show it to you. And the leaves dance with their through and the lawn, through the lawn. So if you imagine the day when you wake up and you find that the leaves and the trees are dancing, definitely it's going to be very scary though. But the way right now we look at the picture, with look at the leaves, they look very happy. So this method of presenting the inanimate object into animate is called personification. You can take the example, you can find that, you can also say that I entered in the classroom and all the chairs and the tables spoke, the tragedy happened with them. So in reality, the tables and chairs, they cannot speak. But when we use this method, we make the piece, make the literature more attractive, as I said in the earlier slides also. So the personification is the method when inanimate objects are converted into animals, or into not animals but into, we expect them, we present them to speak like human beings. So this method is called personification. Onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia, what is onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia is a word that imitates the sound it represents. Sound, you have to focus on the word, the sound produced when the when it is presented, that certain sound, these originate after certain activities. Like when we drop a stone in water, the sound splash, pop, whisper, clapping, wink. So all these are onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia means the sound words. When we imitate those sounds, whatever they represent, crunch, zap, tick tock, whoosh, these all words, they represent that they origin after certain activity. So instead of presenting them in the form of sentence, the poet, the writer, sometimes they use the direct word for them. So this method is called onomatopoeia. Let us move forward. The next was alliteration. Alliteration is also important. This is going to be important. The simile, metaphor, personification, and alliteration. These are important in keeping in view your syllabus in the board examination. What is the meaning of alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of same consonant sound. Please focus on the word consonant sound in word occurring near one another. So what happens in alliteration, that you find the repetition of consonant sound. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. What is the repetition? P. This consonant P is being repeated one after the other. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. S is being repeated. Come and clean the chaos in your closet. C is being repeated. The big bad bear scared all the baby bunnies by the bushes. B. So here, what does the poet do? The poet has used alliteration. So this alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound. Please make sure that we cannot say that E is being repeated many times here, as you can see. So it is alliteration. No, when you find that E, because the vowels, you will find obviously vowels definitely in all the sentences, even in all the words, some exceptions, but consonants is this repetition of consonant sound is the key for alliteration. It should be a consonant sound, only then we will claim that this is the alliteration. If you claim that it is alliteration because E is being repeated, it's repeatedly coming, so it will not be accepted. So alliteration is because of only consonant sounds. Let's move forward. Oxymoron. What is an oxymoron? An oxymoron is the another poetic device where it uses two opposite terms, exactly opposite terms, contrary terms. Which kind of contrary terms? A peaceful war. Do you imagine a war can be peaceful? These are opposite to each other. War, destruction, peace, no destruction. Dark, sunshine. Sunshine, bright always. Dark, cannot be bright. Tragic comedy, often used comedy along with tragedy. Sweet pain. Pain, we are talking about pain also. We are calling the pain sweet pain. Fire and cold. Both these qualities of the various things, these are opposite, contrary to each other, so this is oxymoron. So wherever you find such device used, so you have to mark that it is oxymoron. Fine, let's move forward. So let us recap all these poetic devices one by one. So students, these literary devices are important. As I said, that these devices, they put a spatial effect by the use of words in distinctive way. The main purpose is to make the piece of literature beautiful, adding the colors and striking our imagination and creativity. This is the main purpose. And the first one being simile. The main important thing is that while you are identifying simile, you have to focus on the word like, because it is a comparison with the help of like. The next one is metaphor. Metaphor is also a kind of comparison, where comparison is done without using like or as, or you can say, as I have written here, you can say that it's a direct comparison. So you compare objects directly with the others, so you don't have to get confused with metaphor with simile, because they are closely associated. Metaphor is a direct comparison and simile is a comparison where there are two things compared, two objects are compared with the help of like or as. The next becomes hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggeration or overstatement, speaking something with giving emphasis to it, about that something is overstated, where things are spoken with a purpose that they present the idea also of certain thing, but it also in a way where but also in that way where the statement that is made, it is more than the capacity of its real capacity, where you will find that it is exactly not possible, but you cannot say that it is exactly zero, but it will be existing there somewhat, but it will not be there completely possible. The next becomes personification. The main thing that you have to focus on the word person. So personification, where you where you give the human qualities to animals or the objects, where you find that the things, objects, they speak like human being, they behave like human being, that is personification. Onomatopoeia is the sound imitation, the various sound produced by different activities. This is onomatopoeia. The alliteration, the main important part is the repetition of consonant sound. Please make sure that this is the consonant sound is being repeated, it is not the vowel sound, because vowel definitely exists in all the words or sentences. Oxymoron. Oxymoron is the presenting of two opposite terms or two contrary terms in the same sentence or in the same phrase. So this was all about the little figure of speech. Student, figure of speech is going to make your communication, your literature, your writing stronger. In the next slide, in the next class, I'm going to give you some sentences where you will have to identify the different part of speech. So figure of speech, as it is asked in the board examination. Till then, goodbye, have a nice day.